This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Wednesday, June the 9th. Race number 8 at Delaware Park. Let's throw up the first stakes race of the 2021 Delaware Park meeting. It's the $100,000 Obeah. Fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. $100,000 is the purse. This is the local prep for the signature race of the Delaware Park meeting, the Grade 2 Delaware Handicap. Download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us. Mike, this field drew a big bunch, but the 2 and the 5 apparently are going to run at Thistledown in the Lady Jacqueline Stakes, and we have 3 other horses entered in here that ran last week, so this field might be considerably different than the original past performances indicate.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're probably going to scratch down even further, even after losing those 2 horses. But even so, even if those horses come out, Dan, we still got a pretty good field here. I mean, there's some good horses in this race.
And even with those horses out, we should have a strong pace. Let's take a look at the pace projector. And I want to urge everyone to visit timeformus.com. Once scratches are made official, this pace projector will automatically update with the changes intact. Red Bar, fast pace. Artful Splatter is a fast horse, but Bajan Girl is quick, and Bajan Girl might have a little more class than Artful Splatter. There's a chance, even with the speed in this race, that Bajan Girl controls things up front.
Yeah, I mean, she certainly has the speed to do that. She's also, pretty proficient without the lead, Dan, so they can do whatever they want with her. I suspect they come out of there running from an inside post, see if they can make the lead, and if they can't, try to take up a seat.
Exclaimer number 1, Shiza has some speed, but it's a question of whether she has the speed to run with these horses, especially off of a 5.5-month layoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big class test for her off the layoff here. We'll see if she's good enough. Maybe she takes a step forward, Dan, as a 4-year-old. I guess that's possible. She won a couple of times towards the end of last year before the layoff. Both those races, though, where she got loose on the lead. Feels like that's probably not going to happen for her here.
Crystal Ball, the 2, one of the horses that will scratch and run in Thistledown in a couple of weeks. The 3 is Bajan Girl. And Bajan Girl, Mike, again, that was a good effort last time out on the La Troyenne. Just considering the competition, She Dares the Devil, who came back and ran okay in the Phipps. En Voutante came back to win the Shawnee with a 100 buyer speed figure. This looks like the first spot in a while where she's an excellent fit. And instead of being one of the other ones, she's one of the horses to beat.
Yeah, that's exactly how I looked at it, too. I mean, it feels like she probably is one of the major players in here. I mean, she's actually held her own against some pretty good horses in her last 3 starts, Dan. I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that 3 starts back, or 2 starts back, rather, in the Royal Delta, maybe that was a pretty good spot for her. But, man, the race just didn't set up great for her there. That was a pretty fast pace she was chasing.
Promised Storm is the number 4. Promised Storm is a horse that just earned a stakes placing at Parks. She was no match, however, for the unbeaten Chubb Wagon, who is now 6 for 6. Chubb Wagon, one of the better sprinters in the Mid-Atlantic region, would come back to win the Ski Pat Stakes at Pimlico with an 89 buyer. Good trip for Promised Storm that day. She didn't change leads in the stretch, but she was never beating that horse.
Yeah, she couldn't beat that horse on the cut back there. They're going to try and stretch her back out here. That seems fine. The distance is no problem for her. She's a little slow for this field, though.
5 will scratch and go to Thistledown. The 6 is Trolley Ride. I think Trolley Ride is a puncher's chance if this pace is fast from the back of the pack. She's a likable mare. She's won 9 times in her career. And I thought she looked good winning, albeit over sloppy track, in a race where the favorite went wrong in the Leaford Stakes last time out. Saved ground, was very comfortable on the turn, had to work in the stretch. Buyers are light, but again, you give this mare some pace. She's consistent enough where she can at least get a piece at a price.
Yeah, agreed. The race could set up very well for her, and she just feels like she always shows up. I don't know. I feel like, Dan, maybe this race is even perhaps a little tougher than the edition they ran last year. She was a big price in this race last year and was nowhere. So that makes her pretty hard to like, but she's going to be a big price in here.
Sweet Sammy D made her seasonal debut 3 days ago at Monmouth. I am assuming that she's going to be one of the scratches, which leaves us with last fall's Black-Eyed Susan winner, the number 8, Miss Marissa. And Miss Marissa has always shown good tactical speed in her races. She just didn't fire in the Cumley. Her first start off the Black-Eyed Susan was a race where she was right in behind the leader. She tried to get out, seemed to be hemmed a bit in, and then just didn't have any punch in late stretch. I have a feeling that the wet track might have had something to do with that. She seems to underperform a bit on wet going. She ran okay in the ladies handicap. Now she has to come back off a layoff.
Yeah, the layoff, I guess, could be, it's not a long layoff, but she's been away since the middle of January. So we'll see if she's ready to fire. I feel like she will be. I think she's a really underrated horse, Dan. Obviously, that Comely two-back is a little bit of a disappointment. I guess you could go back and look at her ladies last time, too, and say that race doesn't look that good anymore because Thankful, the horse who beat her at that time, seemed like she had a lot of potential. She's been bad in her 3 starts since then. So maybe that race doesn't look quite as good anymore. But I think we already know that Miss Marissa's good effort gives her a real chance in here.
Let's watch that Miss Marissa effort. And again, we know her tactical speed is good. I actually like her at 1 1/16. I know she's run her big races at 1 1/8, but her tactical speed and the ability to sit if needed could be a big advantage. The layoff is a concern, but I think she really proved that she could handle horses like this last year. And I think that was a question mark going into last year's season with Miss Marissa.
Yeah, it definitely was. And she did certainly class up pretty well. So again, I just feel like she's a horse who makes a lot of sense and probably won't take that much money.
Queen Nakia is the number 9. She ran in the Ogden Phipps on Saturday. I'm not sure she's going to come back in such short notice. We'll move to the 10, Dream Marie. Dream Marie ran off the layoff last time out, and she just really didn't fire her best shot in a against the males in a starter allowance race. The winner of that race came back to finish third, and non-winners of one other than with an 86 buyer at Churchill Downs. This is a very likable filly, Mike. She often outruns her odds.
Yeah, she does. And she's probably a little underrated too. Obviously, you can go back through her, running lines sort of towards the end of last year, or earlier this year, Dan, and feel like she's probably got a little bit of something extra to find against some of these horses, beaten by Queen Nakia pretty easily, behind Bayesian Girl, behind Miss Marissa. She has something to make up on those horses, but she's going to be a price in this race, and she just feels like she's a little underrated.
Market Rumors, the number 11. Let's go back to her seasonal debut. 2 starts back at Keeneland. She faced a pretty nice filly in Spice Is Nice. And Market Rumor off the layoff finished a good third to Spice Is Nice. She then came back to finish second to Crystal Ball, who again will scratch out of this race. I thought she had a good trip against Crystal Ball in the race at Churchill Downs, Mike. The pace wasn't very fast. She seemed to be traveling better than Crystal Ball on the turn, and she just couldn't put that horse away.
Yeah, maybe Crystal Ball is just too much horse for her, Dan. We'll see. I agree with your take on that race. She ran fine in this race that we're watching too against Spice Is Nice, who seems like she's got a bit of a future for Pletcher. I don't know. I feel like she fits really well in here, Dan. I will say that, after she broke her maiden at Keeneland last summer, I felt like maybe she was going to turn out to be really good. I was really impressed with her maiden win. She's sort of lost me a little bit since then, but she's run fine in her first 2 starts back off the layoff.
One of a handful in this race with tactical speed, along with the 12, Graceful Princess, who ships down from New York for trainer Todd Pletcher. Graceful Princess, look at this pedigree. She's a daughter of Tappan out of 2011 Horse of the Year, Havre de Grace, who I believe won the Obeah in her championship season. Graceful Princess, much improved in this race we're going to show you right now. Her seasonal debut at Keeneland, the Grade 3 Double Dog Dare, she's going to finish third, beaten a neck, but she worked hard every step in a race that was won by Bonnie South, who of course would come back to run second in the Phipps last week, a grade 1 with a 99 buyer.
Yeah, I mean, clearly a huge step forward for Graceful Princess in this race. It looked nothing like any of her prior races, Dan. She just took a really big step forward here. So now the question is, can she keep it going second off the layoff for Pletcher? Because if she does, she's a huge factor in this race. I guess you just have to figure out what kind of price you want to take on her now.
Now, she's going to lose her listed rider. Arad Ortiz, unfortunately, was injured last week at Belmont. I talked to Todd earlier this morning. He said that Luis Saez, who piloted Graceful Princess in the Double Dog Dare, will get the mount on Wednesday. Lucky Stride will scratch, it appears. She ran earlier last week. That leaves us with the 14 Artful Splatter, fourth in the Conniver last time out back in March. No real excuses that day, Mike. She was able to make her usual easy lead and tired. She's better going around 2 turns, but she's going to likely face other pace pressure breaking from the outside, and she was listed as a vet scratch at Pimlico on May 7th.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just see what kind of trips you can get from the far outside. And the inside scratches, it feels like there could be 5 of them, are going to help her. She's going to move her way in. And she does have speed, so I guess they'll come out of there running and maybe try to make the lead. I will upgrade her if the track is wet. It feels like she really likes a wet track. Other than that, I wanted other horses.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Wednesday race of the day. Bayesian Girl could be the inside speed in this race, and certainly some class relief off of the last effort at Churchill Downs. This just might be a fine spot.
I think it is a good spot for her. I've always been a fan of hers, Dan. I think she's going to get the right trip in this race, whether it's on the lead or sitting just off it. I just think there's a lot to like about her, so I'm going to take her on top, and I'm going to use Miss Marissa too. I think Miss Marissa might be the horse to get overlooked a little bit in here.
I want to use Bajan Girl. I want to use Miss Marissa. I think Market Rumor might go off at a slightly better price than those two. And this is going to be her third start back off a couple of improved performances against some nice fillies. Maybe she's finally reaching her potential. Good race, the Obeah. The prep for the Delaware handicap. 3-8, 11-12 for Mike. 11-3, 8-6 for me. Best of luck.